Welcome everybody to wisetake.com MMA DFS podcast. I'm your host Jeff, aka Wigsplitter. Follow me on Twitter at JEFPO. Be sure to follow us at wise_take. Saturday night features another solid MMA DFS card from UFC Fight Night 123, Swanson versus Ortega. If you're not already a subscriber, head on over to wisetake.com and check out our premium MMA package. It's only $6.99 per event, or you can do the monthly subscription of $29.99. You will gain access to the premium chat, my premium article detailing fight-by-fight breakdown, with my picks on each fight, who will win, and GPP and cash lineup build suggestions. Before we get into UFC Fight Night 123, I wanted to go over previous card, which was UFC 218, Holloway versus Ortega. This is our premium section for wisestake.com. As you can see, here's my article. I went 9-4. I I made a few mistakes. I should have not picked Overeem against Ngannou. He got sent into the Shadow Realm with a crazy Hayukin knockout. The Oliveira's brothers. Alex didn't do too bad. He ended up gassing against Yancy Medeiros. That's the other pick I got wrong. Charles Oliveira almost got the first round submission against Paul Felder. And Justin Gaethje and Eddie Alvarez was just a flat out war. So not bad overall picks. 9-4 is pretty solid. I think that's my second best so far. But for the most part, if you come on over to WiseTake, you're going to be able to not only learn how to be a better DFS player with all the sports, but I mean we cover some of the have some of the best tools as well. So jumping right into the action for UFC Fight Night 123, Swanson versus Ortega. The first fight on the early prelims is Antonio Brago Neda. He's going up against Trevin Giles. Nato's actually coming off a 3-year layoff. He's a high-level grappler with insane submission skills. He took some time off to open up some jiu-jitsu gyms, as well as go into other different business ventures and recover from some injuries. Trevin Giles is a very athletic grappler with solid striking, high volume striker with an insane amount of takedown averages per fight. NATO's salary is 7,100. He's a plus 210 underdog going up against Giles. He's 9,100 in salary. He's a minus 250 favorite. I know a lot of people don't say ring rust is an issue, but it's going to be intriguing to see how he responds with his first fight inside the cage in a few years. I could understand maybe 6-8 months, but a 3-year layoff. I mean, it's not like he hasn't been sparring or anything like that. It's not like he was laid up. But being away from the game and out of the cage like that is a challenge. So, first look, Giles it's pretty risky. Go up against a high level submission master like Nato at 9,100. I'm gonna have to look. I'm leaning more towards Giles in this fight just because of the ring rust, but roster build wise, I'm not sure if I can pull the trigger on that one. Moving on to the next fight, we have Chris Gritzemacher going up against Dave Ramos. Ramos is just basically he's a big dude, world class grappler as well. He has decent stand-up. He did lose his debut, but it was because he went up in a weighting class. Now he's fighting at a more normal weight class. Gutsameyer, honestly, he wasn't very impressive to me. I watched him on the Tough 22 series, Ultimate Fighter TV series, season 22. He just didn't. I mean, he's a wrestler with average striking and average. I mean, even his grappling skills. I mean, I think he probably is going to get tested here going up against Ramos, who's probably um, going to put him to the test with that one. Gutsmaker salary is 7,500. He's a plus 300 underdog. Ramos is 9,100 salaries and a minus 360 favorite. First look, I'm leaning more towards Ramos, but I'm going to dive more into it, see if I can find some better tape on Gritzemaker or something that would sway my decision. Moving ahead to the next fight, we have Alejandro Perez going up against Luis Alcantara. Alcantara, in his last match, I mean, he came off of a first-round loss to where he dove right into a guillotine submission. I don't understand how or why he did that, but it just looked pretty interesting. Like, I think he might have tapped a little early, but whatever. Perez is actually the inaugural Tough Latin America winner. He has a pretty solid run as of late. He's 3-0-1 in his last 4 fights. He is going to be the smaller fighter of the two. He has decent grappling, decent takedowns, and striking. Alcantara, I think, would have more takedowns. Perez's salary is 7,400. He's a plus 175 underdog going up against Alcantara, 8,800 salary, and he's a minus 210 favorite. First look, I'm actually leaning more towards Perez, just because of Alcantara is a little. I don't know. You can't. I can't really depend on him. It just seems like he's so wishy-washy in his fights. But Alcantara does have solid striking. He's gritty. He's a good grappler. Just makes his just made some mental mistakes when he dove into Keller's guard like that. It was not the greatest move to have. But first look, like I said, I'm leaning a little more towards Perez for the underdog upset favorite. Moving on to the FS1 prelims, the first fight is Frankie Sens versus Merab Divashvili. Sens he's an aggressive grappler. He likes fighting basically in a phone booth. Heavy knees, strong, dirty boxing in the clinch, leg kicks. Davalishvili trains with what is he? The guy's in Long Island. Ray Longo, I think it is. He's making his UFC debut. Heavy. He's got strong. He's heavy power striker. Good grappling. He moves forward with a lot of pressure. Sends salary on DraftKings is 7,700. He's a plus 135 underdog going up against Divalishvili. I'm totally murdering this. I'm gonna just call him Merab. He's 8,500 salary and he's a minus 155 favorite. First look, I'm gonna have to see if I can find more tape on Merab, but I'm leaning more towards Sens in this fight just because he has a little more experience. But I could change my mind by Friday, which is usually when I make my final decision on my roster builds after weigh-ins and the inaugural stare-downs. Moving on to the next fight, we have Carl's John de Thomas going up against Alex Perez. Thomas is a Philippine national gold medalist for wrestling. So he's going to have solid takedowns. He's a pretty decent striker. his salary is 7,300 on DraftKings. He's a plus 325 underdog. Going to go up against Alex Perez. He's 8,900 salary. He's a minus 400 favorite. If you watched Dana White's Contender Series, it seems like he has pretty solid fight IQ. He fights with a lot of pressure. He has good knees in the clinch. Solid grappling. Pretty good striking, and he has good leg kicks. First look, I'm leaning towards Perez. But I don't think I could count the Thomas out just because of the wrestling. It could turn into a grappling match where he takes Perez down and controls him with a little bit of top game and pressures him with a lot of ground and pound. Moving on to the next fight, we have Luke Saunders versus Andre Sucuenta. Saunders is he's a high volume striker with decent grappling. He likes to fight at range. Uses strikes to set up his takedowns, or he sets up his takedowns. Sorry. Uses takedowns to set up his strikes, so he'll feint a takedown, and then he'll usually throw some 1-2 combos with some leg kicks. Now Sucuenta just came off a battle. He's 0-2 in the UFC. Both of them were by decision. Both losses were by decision. He had I think it was like an eye poke or a groin kick that he might have lost points on his last fight. But Saunders' salary is 9,000. He's a minus 230 favorite. Sucuenta 7,200 salary is a plus 190 underdog. I could see this fight actually just being a gritty, grinded out type battle. Sucuenta is probably going to want to keep it standing, and Saunders is probably going to do both. I think it has a good chance. I'm leaning more towards Saunders. Just first look off of recent fight video. Moving on to the next fight, the last fight on the FS1 prelims, we have Alexa Davis, 7,800 salary, plus 155 underdog, going up against Liz Carmouche, 8,400 salary, 175 favorite. This fight actually is not very appealing to me. Both these, if they fought before, Carmouche just basically circled the ring, and Alexa Davis just plodded forward, very, just not very impressive, just sort of walking forward, not even trying to cut the ring off and close the distance. I think Davis did score a couple takedowns in that fight. Alexa Davis is 7,800 salary plus 155 underdog. Carmouche is 8,400 salary minus 175. Carmouche is a very aggressive, strong grappler with decent takedowns, with ground and pound and dirty boxing in the clinch. But I'm leaning more towards Davis in this fight, just because she's in her time that she's fought the last. She actually achieved her black belt in BJJ. So she's gonna, if she does get taken down, I think Carmouche will have a slight disadvantage there, where she's gonna have to be able to defend the submission from her back. But yeah, I'm leaning a little more towards Alexa Davis in this fight. Moving on to the first fight in the main card, we have Alberto Morales versus Benito Lopez. Morales is 1-2-1 in the UFC. He actually said that in his last fight, in an interview, that he wasn't focused on his opponent, and just basically, I don't know why you would even do that. Like, why you would go into a fight knowing that you're not necessarily completely prepared for your opponent. But he has decent leg kicks. that he used to set up his or open up his normal striking. He has average grappling. Lopez is an aggressive, high volume striker with heavy knees in the clinch. And he has solid takedown defense. So this could be a stand and bang battle. Morales' salary is 8,000, and he's a minus 110 favorite. Lopez is 8,200 salary, and he's a minus 110 favorite. So basically, according to Vegas, it's a pick 'em. To me, I'm leaning more towards Lopez just because he seems like he has a little more technical, or his fight IQ is a little better than Morales. He just doesn't seem if he's having focusing issues getting into a cage where they lock the door behind you. I'd rather go with the guy who's going to come in more focused. But yeah, it's a Vegas pick'em. Roster build wise, I could see myself rostering Lopez, but I want to see how everything else goes between now and Friday. Moving on to the next fight, we have Eric Anders versus Marcus Perez. Both these guys are undefeated. Anders' salary is 9,200. He's a minus 280 favorite going up against Perez. He's 7,000 salary and he's a plus 240 underdog. Anders has an insane left hand, very aggressive takedowns, high volume striker. Perez is making his UFC debut. He's a technical striker and he has decent grappling and strong submissions. Now, is he going to be able to withstand Eric Anders' pressure? Well, I'll have to see. I'm leaning, first look, I'm leaning more towards Anders. Salary is a little up there, so I'm going to have to take a chance on some of these lower guys. But I'm not necessarily counting Perez out. But, I mean, take a flyer on it for in a GPP. But we'll see how the weigh-ins go and all that other fun stuff. Moving on to the next fight, we have Scott Holtzman versus Daryl Horcher. Holtzman's salary is 8,300. He's a minus 120 favorite. Horcher is 7,900 salary. He's a plus 100 underdog. Both these guys are pretty much well-rounded grapplers. They like Holtzman likes to stand and bang. Likes to fight in a phone booth. And he has good takedowns. Averages a little more than 2 takedowns per fight. Horcher, he does, excuse me, he does have a decent submission game. Holtzman has a little bit more significant strikes per minute. First look, I'm leaning more towards Horcher, but we'll see how everything goes after Friday. Roster build wise, I mean, they're pretty middle of the road, 8,300 and 7,900. Not too bad. It's workable. Moving on to the next fight, we have Marlon Moraes versus Aljamain Sterling. This is an intriguing matchup. Moraes is coming off a fight with Dodson, and Sterling is coming off of a fight with Barao. To me, Sterling, he throws like wild looping shots, almost from like left field. It's not very. It doesn't seem like unless he's just not throwing it as like technical as he should. He's a grappler by trade. Has decent takedowns. Has average takedown defense. I don't see Moraes trying to take Sterling down. I see it more of a striking battle. Moraes will probably utilize his leg kicks, which he does to a lot of his opponents, where he just tries to chop their legs out and then pick them apart on the feet. Moraes' salary is 8,600. He's a minus 165 favorite. Sterling is a 7,600 salary, and he's a plus 135 underdog. First look, to me, I think it's somewhat of a pick 'em. If Sterling can take Moraes down, then I think he'll have the advantage. Going for Especially takedowns is going to get you the extra points. And top control, you might be able to try to work for a submission or even go for, just some old-fashioned ground and pound. I'm leaning a little more towards Sterling right off the bat. Not only that, the salary-wise, 7,600. I want to see how everything goes though between now and Friday evening, how I finish out my roster build. Moving on to the next fight, we have Jason Knight versus Gabriel Benitez. Excuse me. Jason Knight he's an aggressive fighter. Got solid grappling with good takedowns. Excuse me. Average takedown defense. Going up against Benitez, 6,900 salary. He's a plus 255 underdog. Knight is 9,300 salary. He's a minus 310 favorite. First look, honestly, I'm leaning more. I'm stuck. I mean, I think Benitez can stand and bang with Knight, especially since he has a wicked body kick. I mean, it almost sounds like a baseball bat hitting somebody in the gut. If he hits the liver, and can't remember what fight that was this past weekend or 2 weeks ago, where it's basically shin to liver, and the dude just quit. I mean, it just shuts your body down. What happens? So if he can land a liver kick, it's a good possibility that Jason Knight won't be able to continue. But especially with his salary, 6,900. I mean, if I'm gonna do a GPP roster build, I for sure would take a flyer on Benitez. Knight is 9,300 salary. I'm not sure if I could roster him at that price. He does have a KO loss. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see how it works out. Moving on to the main event, we have Cub Swanson versus Brian T. City Ortega. Swanson's salary is 8,100. He's a plus 100 underdog going up against Ortega. 8,100 salary, and he's a minus 120 favorite. Now, I'm not exactly sure if how Cub Swanson is an underdog in this match, just because of the fact that Brian Ortega hasn't necessarily fought a high caliber fighter as Swanson. Swanson has been, top 15 for a long time. And I don't necessarily see that his skill set is diminishing. He's actually coming off a 5-round brawl with Artem Lvov. He's a high volume striker, got solid grappling, he's got a decent takedown defense. Ortega, I call him the king of the third round comeback because for some odd reason he somehow gets lucky in the third round and is able to secure a submission. Secure a submission. Sorry. Ortega would be 5-0 in the UFC, but he has won no contest because he failed a post-fight drug test, I believe. But as in every fighter's career, they have to have their first loss, and I think this might be Ortega's first loss going up against Cub Swanson. It's a tough task going up against a guy like Cub, who's well-rounded and can fight anywhere, who's dangerous on his feet as well as on the ground. I could see this possibly stopping in the third or fourth round with possibly a stoppage. I'm leaning more towards Cub Swanson, but it's this fight is actually stackable, especially if it goes 4 or 5 rounds. Both of them will have enough output, striking and possible takedowns to where they could produce a good amount of points for your lineup. All right, well, that was my first look at UFC Fight Night 123, Ortega versus Swanson from Fresno, California on December 9th. If you are listening to us on Podbean and iTunes, please leave us the 5-star review. It helps us climb the charts. Here on YouTube, if you're on YouTube, smash that like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and head on over to wisestake.com. Check out our premium packages. We have day passes available, which will give you and gain access to the Wise stream for our NBA, the Wise stream, and also the premium chat, which will give you access for just test drive, basically, to check out our check out wisestake.com. A lot of the new players are coming and learning so much that they are growing and exponentially building their bankroll. As always, be safe out there, make that money, and I'll see you guys in the premium chat.
Yes.